Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pilot episode of Having a Ball with me, Joseph, and my buddy, Andreas.
Hello.
Hi, Andreas.
Hi, Joseph. How are you?
I've been better, I guess.
You've been better. All right, so context, people. This is a new podcast. We've always talked about starting a podcast, right?
Yeah, for about the past 10 years we've said we'd do one. We didn't necessarily expect it would be what it's turning out to be.
Yeah, you've chosen to put on a role to make this more interesting.
I wouldn't necessarily use the word chosen, but so yeah. Exactly 4 weeks ago today, I went to the doctor because I had a back pain. And since then, I found out I had testicular cancer, and I've started chemo. So it's been a weird month.
And we've decided to start a podcast called Having a Ball, which is a beautiful pun, everyone.
Because, yeah, I did have one removed, so I have a ball.
How does it feel?
It feels pretty much like the other one.
All right. Joseph has cancer, so he gets away with this. I'm going to be universally hated for starting a humor show about cancer. But it's not about cancer.
Well, no, the idea, and it isn't to mock cancer either. The idea is, well, I've got cancer. I'm going to go through a weird summer, maybe a tough summer, and I'd like to sort of document it, share with people my story, but also sort of to take my mind off it in a sense, try and laugh about it, or as I was telling you the other day, to find the humor in the tumor.
Yeah, because that was a magic moment when you sent me a message saying, Andreas, I'm so happy humor rhymes with tumor.
And yeah, but it sort of made sense to me. And as I said, I don't want to mock this, and I know everybody who goes through something like this probably lives it differently, but I'm trying to take it as well as I can and have a laugh along the way while maybe helping some people just by sharing my story.
A lot of people who see or listen to this podcast will be like, what the hell is going on here? Joseph has cancer? And why is Andreas joining him to make a mockery about that? Just for the record, just to set my record straight, Joseph asked me, and I was obviously more than happy to ruin my reputation.
You don't have much of a reputation to start with. So
That is true. That is true. But yes, it's an honor to be here and make a show which essentially is about making the best out of a bad situation.
Exactly. And for the moment, as you can tell in this episode, I'm doing pretty well, even though the chemo started, no side effects. So it's pretty easy to sort of be lighthearted about it. But the idea is to continue throughout the whole process, even if things get a lot more difficult. And that's why I wanted you to come along, because it's not just about me doing this, but you're going to make me laugh. You're the person that makes me laugh the most. So I know that if I'm throwing up on the floor and having a horrible day, you'll still find some stupid joke to make me laugh, and will make things easier.
When we're doing the episodes where you throw up all the time, we're mostly going to have the camera on me.
That's probably a good idea. Good idea.
We'll listen to the in the background, and it'll give context.
Yeah, I'll try to refrain from throwing up during the actual podcast, but no guarantees.
That would be not necessarily entertaining, but that would be real, authentic. He's throwing up in real time, people. All right, so obviously we're not making fun of cancer, but you have a serious condition. You have testicular cancer that has spread to both your spine and your lungs, which doesn't sound nice.
It doesn't sound nice at all. It doesn't feel that nice either, really.
We need to let the audience know just a little bit of what your month has been like.
Well, so May, June, I had lots of back pain, some stomach pain, sort of weird pains, slept very badly. So I went to see a doctor, and things went really quickly from then. He checked me out, then said, you should come in for an ultrasound tomorrow. I came in the next day. Then they said, you should come in for a scanner the next day. This is on the Thursday. And on the Friday, they sent me to meet my urologist for the first time. I walked in at 8:30 in the morning, and he said, hi, this stinks. But then to reassure me, I guess, he said, but don't worry, I have failed many a ball, and it usually goes pretty well. It sounds like I'm joking, but that is actually what he said, but in French.
It makes more sense in French, I imagine.
Not really.
For context, I'm based in Norway, and I'm Norwegian. You're Canadian, but you're based in Switzerland.
Exactly.
So you're 100% bilingual.
100% bilingual. I did all my schooling in French. Most of my friends here, I speak to them in French, but I swear in English and make bad jokes in English mostly.
I speak no French, so obviously that's the reason why we're doing this in English. Also, we went to school together in London.
Went to school 12 years ago. Have talked pretty much every day in an incessant Facebook chat.
Yes. I mean, we could comprise all that dialogue into, I believe, 20 or 30 books about bad jokes.
Yeah. There'd be probably close to 1 million bad jokes, I'd imagine.
So if you die, no offense, but if you die from this, I'm doing that.
Oh, be my guest. It's not like I'm going to need them anymore.
Oh, people are going to hate me for this. Anywho, but carry on. Carry on about your whole cancer thing.
So the doctor basically diagnosed me, said, you've got testicular cancer. We're going to have to remove the testicle and then start chemotherapy because, as you said, it's spread to the lungs and to the spine. So a week after meeting my urologist, I went to the hospital, got operated on. They removed the testicle, removed the tumor, and put a little thing. You won't be able to see it, but I've got a little portacath, it's called, portacatheter. A little plastic thingamajig that's been put under my skin that allows them to directly inject stuff into it rather than going into my vein every time and basically hurting my veins.
So you get all of your stuff through that.
Exactly. They can take blood through there. They can give me, whether it be hydration or the actual chemotherapy drugs.
And that thing is straight above your heart, right? On the left side?
On the left side, exactly, sort of next to my shoulder, between my shoulder and my heart, I guess.
And why is it there?
Because it's connected to one vein that's then connected directly to the main artery. So it can basically get stuff into me as fast as possible.
Essentially, they've chopped off your second testicle, aka your former favorite. And now they've started the first out of 1 million rounds of chemo to attack both the spine and the lungs, right?
Exactly. This was basically a week after the operation. The operation I did, I just went in and came out the same day. A week later, I went into the chemotherapy where I spent 5 days in the hospital. And exactly, every day they overhydrate you, then give you these chemo drugs for an hour or so. And you do this for 5 days. Then you get 2 weeks off of resting, which is what I'm in now. And then that 3-week cycle is going to repeat technically 4 times total. It could be more, it could be less, I guess. Won't really know much more until after the second round when we do a PET scan, compare it to the first PET scan I did, and see, hey, this is working great, let's keep it up, or yeah, let's open up and see if we can go in there with a knife or a shovel or something.
Most likely a shovel. But I mean, you look surprisingly well and chipper and fine, considering you have poison through your veins. What's the deal? Are you like a medical anomaly?
I don't know if it's quite as much as a medical anomaly. I do know that the chemotherapy is a lot harder for lots of people. There are many side effects I've heard of course, nausea, fatigue, lack of appetite, which often come pretty quickly when the chemo starts, which is why you need these 2 weeks of rest to get over it before the next round starts. But so far, I count my lucky stars. I have had literally no side effects at all. In the hospital, I was fine. Came out the next day, went out for lunch. I've been eating all weekend, had barbecues. I've got lots of appetite, and I still feel fine. I don't expect this to last forever, but as long as it does, I'm pretty happy with it. Can't complain.
Did they tell you that an increased appetite would be a side effect?
Nope. They gave me lots and lots of tips about how to deal with the lack of appetite, what I should eat, what I should do, the drugs I could take for anti-nausea, but I never thought of asking them, what about if I just want to eat all the time? Is that all right? But I have asked them since, is it good that I eat? They said, hey, you're going to need your energy. You need it. Take advantage of being hungry while you can.
So essentially right now you're eating like a pig, a happy pig.
I'm eating like a happy pig with cancer. Yeah.
So bad that I'm laughing at that. Are you going to be the first cancer patient in history who gets really fat?
I hope so. No, I don't know. I lost some weight in a couple of months before going to the doctor, before this month. I lost about 5 or 6 kilos just because I guess my pain and I ate a bit less. Since then, I've gained 1, I think, and I'll probably gain a little more because I'm hungry all the time. I tend to have like 2 breakfasts or 2 lunches. Have an ice cream in the afternoon, piece of cake after dinner.
But I mean, you're quite a thin guy, and your diet for the last 40 years has been cheeseburgers and beer. So you must have quite a decent metabolism.
I guess it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say it's been cheeseburgers and beer, although I do like both those things. I did have quite a bit less beer in May and June, which is probably also did help lose some weight. But I guess my metabolism works pretty well. I can't complain.
So you have a doctor friend who said that you would be, what did he say? You were prepared for the chemo because of what?
Well, yeah, a friend of mine who's a surgeon this is before the operation, wanted to sort of tell me that it wouldn't be that bad. Yes, chemo could be long days of fatigue and nausea, but he did say, well, you've had a lot of practice with all the hangovers you had. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but he was actually being serious, that you wake up on a Saturday, you've had too much to drink, you got a headache, you feel nauseous, you don't want to get up, you can't really do anything, you feel crappy, but what you going to do about it? Sit on the couch, watch a movie, and ride the wave, which I have done a few times. So perhaps it will be easier if I do have bad days to go through it than somebody who's never had a drop of alcohol and who isn't used to that kind of icky feeling.
So the moral of the story, kids, drink a lot. That way you'll be ready for chemo. Which is the worst sentence I've ever said. And I'll stick by it.
Absolutely.
What did your friends and family say when you told them the news?
Well, everybody has been very, very supportive. My family was obviously the first people I told about it. Literally half an hour after speaking with my doctor and being told the phrase, "You have cancer." And so I came over to my family, to my parents and my brother to tell them about it. And they were incredibly supportive because I immediately said, well, I'm going to try and take this as positively as possible, to stay as optimistic as possible, not to be put down by it. And I said that I needed them to try and do the same, which they've been impressively good at. I mean, I haven't seen my mother basically cry at all yet. Although I know she has, I'm sure she has, but she also has her support group, her friends surrounding her. And in front of me, they've all been rocks, basically. I mean, my dad, who's also been known to crack a bad joke or two, the first thing he said to me was, so, you're going to sign up for the Tour de France next year, like Lance Armstrong?
Who famously has one ball, right?
Exactly. 1 ball and 7 titles. Oh, no, he doesn't have 7 titles anymore, does he?
He has 0 titles, but 1 ball.
Exactly.
So I remember when you told me, which was the same day, and I got quite upset. And you were obviously bummed out the first day, but you've taken it miraculously positively. That's not a word.
Yeah.
You've been positive.
First of all, as I was saying before, it is a bit easier to be positive right now that I don't have side effects and I'm feeling pretty good. I even feel better than before the chemo started because I know a little bit more what's going on. There's less apprehension. And I decided very quickly that, well, this is kind of a shitty hand that's been dealt. But oh well, you got to play it. And so I'm just going to try and take things one day at a time. I haven't looked at what might happen in 6 months, what might happen in 12 months, what's the exact percentage of chance that I'm going to make it through. I just figured, let's do it one day at a time. I'm surrounded by lots of great people. As long as I can try and stay happy, and I think that'll make things easier.
But you told me one story about one friend who said something really weird. And we have a rule about this podcast. We're telling everything.
Oh, absolutely. I won't necessarily give names, but if they listen, they might recognize each other themselves. But yeah, everybody has been extremely supportive, like my family, and I know lots of close friends, it hit them pretty hard, but in front of me, they stayed strong, and they've told me, they tried to sort of mimic my reaction. But one guy basically said, oh, I heard about what happened to you, I feel really bad, I hope you're okay. Then his next sentence was, yeah, because these days, I'm kind of living as if I had cancer too. I don't really feel like doing much, just go walk around the lake, listen to some music, smoke some cigarettes. Yeah, it must be weird.
That is odd.
It's extremely odd. I mean, I'm not mad at the guy because I know him and he might be a bit of a weird guy at times, but it's an extremely odd thing to say to somebody who's just told you that he has cancer.
I know you're not mad at him, but I don't know him, so dude, that's weird. You also told me a story about this girl who tried to get your attention, and you had to play the cancer card at some point.
Yeah, not that I wanted to, though. But this happened 2 days before I went in for my first round of chemo. I was at a film festival, which usually I work at every year as a translator, but this year I had to cancel because of cancer culture.
It's the worst joke.
That was pretty bad. So yeah, I had to cancel this year, obviously, because I had my operation. And went out for a few drinks to see some friends anyway. About to go home, and this girl comes up to me outside of the festival and says, "Hi," looking a little bit teed off. And I was like, hello? And she says, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I was like, that's correct. I have no idea who you are. And she says, "Yeah, because we met at a birthday party a year and a half ago." And I was like, "Yes, really sorry, I don't remember." She says, "Yeah, you saw me. I saw you twice in the street since then, and you never say hello." And I was like, "Well, that's probably because I don't remember who you are." So she wasn't thrilled with this, and I thought we could basically end the conversation there. I was sort of had my head in my thoughts, and she insists, though. She was like, "You could make an effort. Try and talk to me at least a little bit. Try and make me laugh." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. Some stuff's going on in my life. It's a bit heavy. I'm thinking it's nothing to do with you. I've just got my head elsewhere. Sorry about that." But she insisted, like, "Oh, come on, do something. Talk to me." Insisted.
Did she turn British?
No, she was Swiss. I may have turned her British by mistake. But anyway, she insisted. And I really tried. And I said, "I don't want to burden you with my shit. Just leave me alone, sorry." And she insisted. So at the end of the day, I had to say, "Well, okay, you really want to know what's wrong? I have cancer. I'm starting chemo on Monday morning."
Boom!
Mic drop.
Beautiful way to end a conversation.
Yeah, surprisingly, it didn't actually even end the conversation. She obviously felt quite bad about this and was suddenly like, "Ooh, I don't know what she'd imagined, but it definitely wasn't that."
Uh-huh.
And then she still tried to bring me home.
Which is great.
Well, yeah, plus she was a nurse, so maybe I should have taken her up on the offer.
I'm just happy that the cancer hasn't taken down your mojo.
This is true. The funniest thing, though, is that, and she'll hate me if she hears this,
she will hear this. Hello.
The whole conversation happened in the shadows, and if I were to have seen her the next day, I would not recognize her either.
Well, you can always blame the chemo.
Absolutely.
You're a chemo emo. Speaking of that, yes, we're making jokes, by the way, but this has been your request. And when you told me, I was like, this is really sad. I'm really bummed out. Please tell me when I can start making jokes about your one bald situation. And you answered, right away.
Of course.
So I've been referring to you as my baller friend Joseph to everyone else.
Well, I love that. I mean, we've always had a pretty dark sense of humor and have laughed about all subjects. So it would be pretty stupid of me to suddenly say, "Oh, but I'm off limits."
Yes, but cancer is quite serious.
Absolutely. But when you have it, you can joke about it, I guess.
Because that is essentially the thing here, what we're trying to do. This is going to build you like a multimedia, global, pity me, let's put a smile on that face empire. And we want people all over the world saying, "Joseph, your story inspired me. I'm going to take it with a smile."
Well, I hope so. I hope so, exactly. That somebody else who has cancer and who's maybe going through a tough time can see me laughing about it and maybe laugh at his own. Somebody whose friend or whose parent or whose family member is going through it can see that there can be a light side to it.
Or at least the way you deal with it.
Exactly. And as I said, I mean, I'm sure this is just the first episode, the pilot episode of this. In 2 months, I may have a very different outlook when I'm bald and feeling like crap, but I still hope we can make some bad jokes.
Because I told you very early on, and you had already thought about it, was to document your journey. To either make a documentary about how well it went, or I make a documentary about the day my friend Joseph died.
Yeah.
Which is also a horrible thing to say.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because a friend here in Switzerland, I told him I was documenting it, and he felt really bad. He came and he said, "Well, just so you know, there's already a Swiss director, a Swiss guy that made a film about his cancer, and he died at the end."
All right, so you really have to live now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And even though it doesn't sound like it, I much prefer you alive. Just that's my one sentiment I'll say in this entire episode.
Thank you kindly.
You have some friends that dropped by the hospital and you made something cool. Can you tease us about it?
Yeah, well, that's the idea. As I said, I'm trying to have some fun with this, and I'm going to do various different things. But a couple of filmmaker friends and I of mine came by the hospital, and we shot some scenes for an action movie trailer about me and my IV stand being chased by my cancer through the hospital.
Nice. And I've seen some of the footage. It's going to look very, very cool.
It should, yeah. It should be pretty funny. I got to use the cancer card there, even though probably one shouldn't use it too much. But We were shooting in the hallways of a hospital after visiting hours with about 4 people around me, so weren't allowed to at all. And a security guard came up and said, "Excuse me, do you have authorization?" And I said, "No, but I have cancer." He sort of backed away without really knowing what to say and was like, "Okay, I'll let you do whatever."
Are you going to use your "but I have cancer" thing for years, even though you don't have cancer anymore?
I'm pretty sure I won't be allowed to if I don't, but we're not quite there yet, so I can use it for a while if I want to.
You can just say, "Hey, I recently had cancer." And people are going to be like, "That was 60 years ago, Joe. Get over it."
Exactly. I can try, though.
On behalf of the audience, I want to know more about the actual chemo experience. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't as bad as I imagined. I didn't really know what I imagined exactly. Basically, I had to go into the hospital because they didn't have any room as an outpatient. But all the next rounds, I'll just go from 9 to 5 and go home at night. But here, you go into the hospital, they hook you up to an IV stand. My IV stand was introduced to me as Philippe. We had a pretty good week together. But so they hooked me up to him on Monday, and then most of the time, all they're doing is pumping me full of saline solution and electrolytes. It's just water because they need to overhydrate you so you don't wreck your kidneys. And so they pump water through you until you're urinating a lot.
What is a lot?
I think what they wanted was 200 milliliters an hour. I'm not sure what that gives in Norwegian. Something like 4 skulls per fjord or something.
We have the metric system. So, right, so 1/5 of a liter per hour?
Exactly. But I mean, the last day I was there, I literally urinated 4 liters in 10 hours.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like after a night out at the White Horse.
Nice. That is our old bar in London, to anyone who is interested.
Exactly.
Did you have like a catheter thingy where you just peed in a bag, or did you have to like go in the bathroom?
I had to go to the bathroom and I had a bottle and peed in it and then looked at the number and wrote down so they could add up exactly how much I peed and compare that to exactly how much I had to drink. And the actual chemo itself was like 1 hour a day, and did this every day for 5 days. And then on the Friday, I was allowed to go home.
They're going to give you the same treatment over and over again, right?
Exactly. At least 4 rounds is the plan, unless halfway through, after the scan, they decide, well, this isn't working. Let's go at it more aggressively.
So you're getting poison stuffed into your body, right?
Basically, it's that. It's poison that's supposed to kill the cancer, but that also attacks healthy cells as well. So makes you weaker, technically.
All right. So the more poison you get into through more rounds, the shittier you will feel.
Most likely. The story is different for everybody, and I mean, I'm sure I could spend hours and hours and hours on the internet reading different people's experience. I just looked a tiny bit like, is it common that people have nothing? And it's not that common, but it happens. The next rounds, I imagine, will be harder. But, I mean, as a friend of mine said, even if the next rounds are shitty, I got one for free, so I can't complain.
I told my mom about your situation, obviously, and she got really sad. And the first thing she said was, "Did he freeze down his sperm? Will the Barnes name live on?"
My freezer is chock full.
That's disgusting.
No, yeah, I did. I'm single. I don't have kids. I don't even know if I'm planning on having kids. But right after all this happened, they said, if just in case you want to have kids, you got to freeze your sperm, and you have to do 2 sessions ideally, because just in case it's not perfect. And I had a very short window to do this, because plus I had to get it done at least 2 days before the operation and have at least 3 days between the 2 sessions. So basically they said, you've got to go freeze your sperm on Tuesday and Thursday, I think it was.
Was this before the chemo, in case the chemo kills your sperm production for life?
That's exactly. It was even before the operation. Technically, the lone surviving testicle.
The Lone Ranger.
Exactly. The lone surviving testicle still works, but the chemo could hurt chances of fertility. So if you want to be sure, you got to go freeze some little guys beforehand.
But the Lone Ranger could, in theory, make a miraculous return and function perfectly.
Absolutely. It's quite funny that you say the Lone Ranger, because you know what his friend's name is, right? Chemo Sabi.
Fair enough. So hopefully your ball will work again. That way you'll have more room in your freezer. But please tell us about the freezer experience.
For most people, it's probably not sort of the thrilling experience you want to have. And the thing is, I had to go to a different city. I'm in Neuchâtel in Switzerland. I had to go to Lausanne to do this. And I had a pretty short window also because I had to get my COVID vaccine beforehand. And so basically I had to get to Lausanne at 11. And my mom, who's been a huge help throughout all this, said, well, I can drive you, no problem. And then my dad was like, I'm not doing anything. I can join you. My brother lives in Lausanne, said, oh, well, I have a day off. How about we all have coffee together? So suddenly, this became like a family sperm outing.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't the most fun day. So they brought me to Lausanne. And I mean, of course, they didn't come with me to the sperm bank. I said, go have your coffee. I'll join you later. And so I went to this building with the various different medical labs. I go up to the second floor where the sperm bank is. I walk in, there's these 5 or 6 nurses, all perfectly nicely dressed, lined up in the room. And I say, hi, is this the sperm bank? And they all turn to me and go, no. So I felt like an idiot there. Then I found the correct place. I get to the actual sperm bank where the receptionist was teaching, I guess, an apprentice how to do things. So she would be explaining everything she did. And I said, hi, I'm here to give some sperm. And she'd turn and say, this guy's here to give some sperm. And then the woman would write down, I guess this guy's here giving sperm. So the whole process took quite a while of filling that out, which was not that fun. And then they said, well, let's take you to the room where you can give us your sample. We'll be right next door. And when they meant they'll be right next door, it was literally. They took me about 2 feet from the reception behind a 1-inch wall and said, here. Have at it. In this little room, which first of all had the exact same couch as in my parents' living room, which was weird. It had a TV screen from about 1998 with a DVD player next to it and said, insert your DVDs. I don't know if most people walk around with DVDs with them. I didn't have any, so...
You don't have DVD porn in your pocket at all times?
No, sadly not anymore. And so they did have a box of porn magazines also, but I think the most recent one by the looks of it was from about 2001.
Nice.
So yeah, all in all, a sort of weird experience being in that little room and then giving them back the bottle. And then I went for a crepe with my parents.
A crepe as in pancakes, not like crap.
No, crepe as in pancakes. But ironically, crepes in German means cancer.
This is like a bilingual nightmare.
Trilingual by now.
Sorry.
It's funny, on Sunday evening, I actually had dinner with a friend of mine and his father-in-law, and we talked about my situation, and the man's name is Mr. Krebs. And as he left, he just told me, by the way, I don't know if you know, my name is Mr. Cancer. I'm going to leave. I hope yours does too. So I had a pretty good laugh at that.
That is very funny. All right. I think we've reached the end of the first episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. It might be worth noting that the next episode, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to look a little different.
I'm going to try to join you in becoming pale and frail.
Well, yeah, the thing is, they've told me that basically one side effect that I'm most likely not getting around is losing the hair.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like waiting till it starts falling off and I've got to pick it up off the couch. So I've decided to be a little proactive, and I've found a friend who's going to cut my hair. But I'm going to have a little bit of fun and not just shave it all off in one go, try and do a few different hairstyles along the way. A friend's going to take some pictures of it, so I'll probably be able to share that with everybody too at some point.
Cool.
But there's a good chance I'll look like a testicle next time you see me.
Baller. Legends of the Ball. It's been a pleasure, Joseph, to join you in your cancerous adventures.
Thank you kindly.
And even though we've made a lot of jokes, hopefully your whole cancer situation is over within a few months.
Well, I guess
then we're going to have to change the topic.
Absolutely, but I can always get some other disease. If worse comes to worse, I'll lick a bus and get COVID or something.
Yeah, because I'm really fascinated that the whole world is struggling with COVID, and you're like, hold my beer, I want to get something worse.
Yeah, well, COVID is so 2020, you know?
So thank you to everyone for watching, listening, and thank you, Joe. And I know this is going to sound bad taste, but do you have any final words?
Not really. Maybe it should end with like, see you next time, but it's a question. To be continued? Maybe?
Let's sincerely hope so. All right. See you soon, Joe.
Thanks, Andreas. See you very soon. Bye-bye. Cool.